What's going on, guys? Hope everyone had a good weekend. I was supposed to stream yesterday, but I didn't. Stayed home, just relaxed, chilled out. But today we're going to be opening up the mold from the fire pit and finishing off the hand. So that's what we're going to work on today. If you guys haven't, jump over to the Discord, give it a join, and you can post your artwork there. If you're a art enthusiast, your opinions are always appreciated. So, and check out the YouTube channel too. You can see how we got to where we are with all the past streams on the different projects. So let's get into this. Bam. Okay, so for those of you who are aware, there's a this is a plastic fire pit. We sculpted a bunch of flames and we want to cast them so we made them. Do I think Rob Zombie is overrated from a horror perspective? Yes, I do, actually. I totally do. I wasn't the biggest fan of House of Thousand Corpses. I've seen it a handful of times. I loved Devil's Rejects. I thought the first Halloween that he did something really unique. Bear in mind, Michael Myers was never my favorite like slasher to begin with, but he gave Michael Myers an energy in his version of Halloween, like a power, like an ultimate, just like superpower. The feeling when Mike Myers was on screen was really powerful. And I really liked that, but overall didn't really care for the movies. So yeah, Rob Zombie, not a fan of Rob Zombie. I like his old music when he was with White Zombie in his first couple albums when he was by himself. Love that. But as a movie maker, I can really only think of like one, which was Devil's Rejects. I really like. To this day, I really like. Hiding in plain sight. Thank you for the follow. But that's a great question. I know, and I know it's not a popular opinion either. I know a lot of people love Rob Zombie. I just can't. I can't get into it. Okay, so here's the other thing. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't like his wife. Like, I don't think she's a good actress. I hate her voice. I hate. What's her name? Sheridan Zombie's like voice. So much. So much. I feel bad. But I really, no. I don't want to dislike him, but he manages to put his wife in every one of his projects. So yeah, no. I'm not going to forgive him for that. I can't remember if she was in the first Halloween or just the second one where she plays Mike Myers' mom. I don't remember. Again, I'm already kind of biased because I really don't like Mike Myers as one of the slashers. I was always a Freddy guy, and then I guess Jason would come second, and then after that would be Halloween. I haven't even seen all the Halloween movies. I think I've seen the first one for sure. I've seen the third one, which has nothing to do with Mike Myers. I would think I saw Halloween H2O, and I saw the first Rob Zombie Halloween movie. I think I saw the second one, or at least part of it. And then I saw one of the newer ones. God, I just can't get into it. I really like Jamie Lee Curtis. I just can't stand the character. I legit think that, like, Jason Voorhees has more personality than Mike Myers does. Even though they're both just, like, these mindless kind of killing machines, you know? So many of the sequels were horrible. Yeah, but that's kind of true with, like... When it came to slashers, we didn't really expect much from the sequels, right? Think about... other than Freddy, I don't think there's like any really rich storytelling with any of the sequels for really any of the slasher flicks, right? Like, again, I'm biased, but there were some really cool ideas with the Freddy movies. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think I would watch pretty much any of the Jason movies before watching another Halloween movie. I actually think the most recent Halloween movies were actually somehow worse than the originals. I don't know. Don't put up with BS. Thanks for the follow. I don't count Freddy as a slasher since he's supernatural. Yeah, technically. Well, they're all supernatural, right? I mean, literally, they're all supernatural. Like Jason can't be killed. Freddy, Mike Myers, they all can't be killed. They're like, they're supernatural to some extent. Creature Monsters, Nightmare on Elm Street was genuinely terrifying. Yeah, exactly. And then even when Nightmare on Elm Street and like Freddy got cheesy, it still was funny to carry the cheese, And then, you had the so-and-so in space movies. You got Jason in space, you got Leprechaun in space. Although I'll say I don't think they ever did Freddy in space. I don't think they ever did like Mike Myers in space, but still. Until the sequels required it. I guess. You mean they weren't supernatural in and to themselves? Like, I mean, I guess you're right. Like, because what, Jason didn't show up until the second one, and that's when he wore like the bag on his head, right? I guess maybe. I don't know. As soon as the story started, as soon as past the first movie, they all pretty much became supernatural. Maybe that's another reason why I don't like them, to be honest. Maybe I like the supernatural aspect. But that's also so for example, I've never really been afraid of some of the other traditional things people are scared of. Like, some people are really scared of clowns. I'm not scared of clowns. People are scared of rats. I don't, I was never afraid of rats, but yeah. Toxic Avenger versus Jason. Who wins? I've never been the biggest Toxie fan, so I'm gonna have to go Jason. I mean, Toxic Avenger seems to have a little bit more thought behind, like a little bit more intelligence, right? So maybe Toxic. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't actually know who's stronger in that situation. Alien Xenomorph still scares me for some reason. Yeah, I think the Xenomorph is a truly terrifying character. And it's the alien aspect isn't even why I think they're so fucking scary. I think it's more because they're like bugs. They mention it a few times in the movies. It's kind of like a bug hunt, that kind of thing. They're really big, scary alien bugs, and that's pretty terrifying. I'm really amazed they haven't made James Woods the Rats into a movie. I mean, have they remade The Birds? I don't think they did, right? I don't know. Animal fear movies aren't as popular as they used to be. Think back to the old black and whites like them. Then you had, of course, you had The Birds, but other movies too. Like, I remember growing up watching, I actually think this movie is highly underrated. It's the movie Lake Placid. It's a giant crocodile movie. Cujo scared you? See, that's my point. Like, those movies never scared me. And maybe I should be scared of dogs. I'm not gonna lie. I have a false sense of security with dogs. Like, I've been around some really big dogs, especially later, like within the past few years. A buddy of mine has a big old dog. I've seen this dog pick up other dogs like nothing. And I'm just not freaked out by dogs at all. I think it's this like inclination I have to believe that even in a worst case scenario, I could like fend myself off from a dog. Even though I probably couldn't, it'd grab my throat, I'd be done, most likely. But in my head, I'm like, I'm not afraid of dogs. Same thing with the birds and the rats but bugs, man, bugs are creepy crawlers, okay? They're creepy and not in a I'm afraid it's going to hurt me way. It's more of they're creepy in a please don't let it touch me way, I loved Mimic. Mimic was a great movie. Good idea. I never saw any of the sequels, but Mimic was good. What was her name? I always forget that actress's name. Mary? What is her fucking name? Yeah, that's like spiders. Exactly. Yeah, same thing. Spiders. But yeah, I liked Mimic. Mimic came out around the same time. I don't know if you guys ever saw. I actually recently rewatched it. Forgotten a lot about it. Mira Sorvino. Yes, that's it. Yeah. The spiders in the mist are hideous. Yeah, they totally are. I was just gonna say The Relic. Dude. That was so creepy. Yeah, I just recently watched Relic. That movie and Mimic always kind of like go hand in hand. I think they both take place in New York. I think the movies were released right around the same time. I actually really enjoyed Mimic. Even recently when I rewatched it, I was like, this is a good movie. Or I'm sorry, Relic is what I was gonna say. Actually, The Mist is a really great movie. Again, I had no standards going into it, like some, like say, Stephen King fans probably did. So I got to enjoy it just for movie's sake, and I think it's up there as a pretty terrifying film. I recently saw some kind of like, what was it? I saw this article, maybe it was a tweet, I don't know, video that actually put types of movies like The Mist into, there's like a genre that type of movie is. I don't know, I think it was called like Trapped Inside horror movies or something. I don't know. Some type of genre of horror movie that kind of follows that same idea that there's enough of them out there where they all can kind of fall into that category. I think it may not be Trapped Inside, but it was something like that. And yeah, The Mist was on that list. I think they even threw like Dawn of the Dead on that list, you know. You've seen Mother, kind of horror, but more disturbing and scary. Was Mother, what's his face? Darren Aronofsky's flick with, Darren Aronofsky's movie with what's his face from fucking No Country for Old Men and the Bond villain. What's his fucking name? Javier Bardem or whatever. I did not see, if that's the one you're talking about, I did not see that one. No. Jax, thanks for the follow. No, it was great. Remake wasn't bad either. Yeah, I know a lot of people that really talked a lot of smack about the remake, but I actually really enjoyed it. Come on. Are you really gonna... I'm gonna need a flathead screwdriver. Yeah, I love the Dawn of the Dead remake. I thought it was really good. Caught a lot of hate. I actually am a sucker for remakes, though, for the most part. I like the idea of them. What are we making? We're popping a mold for... this is a fire pit that we had in plastic. We cast the fire pit in plastic, and then we're sculpting flames separately, and then we'll use this mold to cast the flames. Really enjoyed Cloverfield. That is one that I have really mixed emotions on, because part of me wants to really, really like Cloverfield, but then as I watch it, because like even you kind of mentioned it as like a creature flick. There's cool creatures in it if you can pay attention to them. They don't have that much screen time. I thought the movie was okay as far as like if someone was like, hey, you have to watch a found footage movie, Cloverfield would probably be in my top choices for sure. Intro to Dawn of the Dead remake was amazing with Johnny Cash and yeah, and that was also, that same intro had fucking Tom Savini in it as the cop, and I thought that was really cool. Kind of, you know, little throwback to Savini. So sequel to Cloverfield is a great thriller. Yeah, that's one John Goodman, right? I really like that one. I never saw the Cloverfield Paradox, I think is what it's called. But first of all, I pretty much like John Goodman in anything, and seeing it wasn't good. Okay, seeing him in that role was pretty awesome. Is Hell House? I don't think I've ever seen it. Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, but Shaun of the Dead gets to kind of exist in its own world because it's of its like parody comedy aspect, right? Then turned meh. Yeah. I know a lot of people that liked like Cloverfield. I think I would make the argument that while I enjoy Cloverfield, I think it's a little bit overrated. I think a lot of people think it's like the best thing ever, and I'm not sure I completely agree. It can be a little boring, honestly. And like, I feel it was at the same time Cloverfield came out, or around that time, was a movie called Skyline, which I don't know if a lot of people ever saw. It's really fucking weird. It's a very strange alien flick. I think there's been sequels, I haven't watched them. And I actually think that even though Skyline completely bombed, you never hear anyone talk about it, was actually equal to, if not better than Cloverfield as a movie. Totally different type of movie. No, I'm sorry. Fucking Skyline and Battle Los Angeles came out at the same time. They're very similar movies. Actually, was Cloverfield around that time too? Honestly, they all might have come out at the exact same time. Yeah. There we go. That's what I wanted. Helix came out then. I don't think I ever saw Helix. Bam. Yeah, I never saw Helix, yeah. Yeah, exactly. He did get turned into, yeah, he did. I think that is the premise for one of the sequels, but like I said, I haven't actually seen the sequel, so I don't know. Dude, the Cube, I just rewatched the Cube movies, actually. We watched The Gate and still love it for the creatures and the effects. Dude, The Gate is a great movie. Why was that so tall for those small spikes? Wait, why was what so tall? No, there's flames in there. There's flames they're tall. They take up pretty much the whole mold. I haven't seen The Gate in a very long time, but I remember, and I've seen, since watched like making of and like the stop motion animation aspects of those little critters in The Gate. It's like a great, I don't know if I want to say teen, but kind of like teen horror movie, The Gate. And then I was going to say, the Cube movies, underrated as fuck. Matter of fact, I think if you look at a lot of modern horror movies, the ones that come to mind right away are the Saw films. You can pretty much thank Cube for existing. The first Cube movie is a classic in my opinion. The second one, Hypercube, I didn't really care. I've only seen like a handful of times, didn't really care for it. But the third one, fucking Cube Zero, is actually a really good movie. Yeah, the second one, like I said, Hypercube, I was meh. But the third one, fucking quality filmmaking. I actually just saw something the other day while I was looking up a movie. What was I looking up? I can't remember. Now, I knew there were 2 Pumpkinhead movies, but apparently there's 4 fucking Pumpkinhead movies. I was like, what? How about The Thing? Both of them. I love both The Things. They're up there in my, like, probably top 10 favorite sci-fi movies of all time. Hey, critter movies have their place, okay? 90s horror film on a cruise ship. It involves Lovecraft-esque monster. Yeah, Deep Rising, fucking amazing movie. I was gonna say. There were like a bunch of movies that kind of came out at the same time on cruise ships. What was it? There was another one, which was really weird. I want to say Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, called Virus. And it was on a cruise ship, I'm pretty sure. Actually, Treat Williams, rest in peace. I'm pretty sure he just passed away in like the last 2 months. Anyways, one was called Virus, and I think another one was legit called Ghost Ship. There were like a handful of them that were all together. Yeah, Deep Rising is a great selection of actors in it. It's got, I can never remember his name, but it's the guy from Last of the Mohicans, the Native American actor. He's in like everything. Had Benny from The Mummy in it as one of the main characters. Like, what? Yeah, Ghost Ship, same area, yeah. West Studio, yes. Thank you, yeah. Yep. Oh, and then the actor, he's been in a bunch of stuff, but he was famously Hannibal Lecter's like doctor in Silence of the Lambs. He was the owner of the ship, right? Virus had good visuals. Yeah, Virus was like a sci-fi Hellraiser type movie, which then always makes me think of Event Horizon too, which is probably one of the best horror movies from the 90s in my opinion, even though I literally hate Paul W.S. Anderson's other work with a burning passion. Event Horizon was amazing. Do the same stuff, sculpt, mold, etc. Oh, that's dope. Cool. Hell yeah, Tremors is a classic. I've probably seen that movie way more than I did too. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I think the Tremors movies, I used to joke with people, I want to say it was about 4 years ago that this started, that literally there's a ton of movies I can list off that basically took the Tremors plot, and I feel like I used to joke that it was being in the board movie, or the board meetings, like pitching these movies, like good ones, Bird Box. And like they're like, hey, okay, here's the deal, guys. So you ever seen the movie Tremors? And of course, all the board members of the movie companies are like, yeah, we love Tremors. What a great movie, blah. And I have an idea. Check this out. Okay, instead of like no one being able to move, right? What if no one could see? You can't look at them or they'll attack you, right? And then there was another one that came out, A Quiet Place. Quiet Place is basically Tremors, right? Then you also had, obviously the sequel. There was another one that came out with Stanley Tucci. I think it was like direct to Netflix, that was about like these flying creatures you couldn't see or something like that. Like there's a genre of movies, like of horror movies, maybe sense-based horror movies. I'm waiting for the one. Check this out. Hear me out. They need to make a movie where you're not allowed to taste. Okay, we got vision, we got hearing, okay, we kind of got touch a little bit with Tremors. What if they totally are like, dude, if you taste the monster, it'll kill you? I don't know. It was good. I hated Bird Box so much. Everyone's got their own vibes, but I hated Bird Box so fucking much. It felt so cheap and just like. And here's the thing, I like Sandra Bullock. I got nothing against Sandra Bullock, but that fucking movie is so goddamn boring. Like, so boring. Here's the thing. I have this really bad, I was just talking about the joke of like the board meeting, right? I have this really bad thing where when I hear about a movie or I watch a movie, I'm thinking about the production companies involved in that movie, okay? There's old jokes in movie making where if you're a script writer and you want your script to get picked up, there's the script, like people who read the scripts at production companies, right? To pick what movie they're going to make. These motherfuckers probably are paid all day long to find the best script, right? And so you have a script, you get like 10 of them every day and you have to read through them or skim through them. And the first page is always something like, open on, like a $10 million private yacht in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, right? Like that's the opening page, right? That script reader is going to grab that and throw it in the trash as fast as possible because the opening thing is so fucking expensive that they wouldn't even consider it. But then the next one is like found footage cam inside studio apartment. They immediately take that one and they take it to the bank and they produce it because it's really cheap to make. So when I look at something like Bird Box, okay, big circle, full circle, right? A bunch of actors have to, it's a drama, mainly a drama, where you never have to show the monster, so your effects budget is almost nil, right? You only have to have actors acting, and the sets are minimal, the action is minimal, so everything that could make a film expensive is immediately taken out. Then they can spend a bunch of money on the shit that brings people to the theater, usually, which is actors. And what did they have? It was like they had John Malkovich playing the most boring fucking role that John Malkovich could ever play. Great actor, and they just fucking wasted it. And then the most you ever see or hear about them, I can't look at the monsters. It's built into it to make it an inexpensive movie. You don't have to worry about ever showing what's going on. And I just like that, oh, that bugs the shit out of me. So yeah, I didn't care about the personal stories about Sandra Bullock. Like, she's kind of a shitty person. Like, you're not, it's weird because towards the end, the very end of Bird Box, you're to believe like, oh, she grew as a person and she finally actually cares about her children. But up until that point, you're like, you're kind of a shitty person I'm not connecting with. Is this movie about parenting? Is that what this is? And like the treacherous, like the shitty aspects of being a parent? I don't know. Like, it was really weird. I don't think it had any direction. Anyways, sorry, I digress. Do I remember Slugs? I don't think I ever watched Slugs, but when you say that, it makes me think of Slither. I don't think I ever saw Slugs, where if you get too close to them, they vaporize you and they're invisible. I haven't seen that. Night of the Creeps. I've seen Night of the Creeps for a long, long time. Rubber. Yeah, I have seen Rubber. Funny enough, we were actually just talking about Rubber the other day, then going down the rabbit hole of like learning about SCPs, and someone asked me, could the tire in the movie Rubber be considered an SCP? And I was like, maybe, yeah, I don't see why not. There's like weird, Rubber's one of those just very strange, like avant-garde kind of like horror. I don't even know if you could consider Rubber a horror movie. I'm sure you could. End of the world alien invasion movies, but most of them are unheard of and off-brand. There's some good ones. Like, I don't know, my favorite alien invasion movie is going to be a toss-up between probably, honestly, Independence Day. I really like Independence Day. I know it's like Hollywood bubblegum. And then another one I'm probably going to catch some flack for because I guess it's just uncool to like this guy anymore. I fucking loved Signs. I think Signs is probably the best alien invasion movie I've ever seen. Mainly because it tells it from such a unique personal storyline. But I really, really liked Signs. Nope. I loved Nope. Nope was great. Everyone should watch Nope. Very original. I think there's a lot. Actually, Nope is probably the only Jordan Peele flick that I really, really get behind. Us was okay. Get Out was okay. But I really thought Nope was quality. Yeah, it could be demons. It could be. But I'm pretty sure even in the description, it talks about extraterrestrials. But that's the problem with a lot of M. Night's movies is like, well, what is it really about, you know? I've heard one theory that Signs was literally all like a dream, too, so... like in his wife's mind or whatever. But if you take it, even if you take it at a less introspective, deep point of view thought, I think there's a lot to be enjoyed with the movie. Like, all of M. Night's movies are weird like that. There's just like certain parts about that movie that are really fascinating to me. I just recently rewatched it with my wife, and I was watching, it's towards the end, where they boarded everything up inside the house, and they're like literally hearing the monster or the aliens or whatever outside the house, and they're all huddled together by the bottom of the stairs, and they're not screaming, they're not like the family isn't screaming or cowering or crying or anything like that. It's just a really unique take on how like a small family is actually reacting. Like that entire scene, they're extremely calm, just kind of watching what's happening. The Descent, all a dream sequence. So, okay. Yeah. Descent. So I had heard some things. I watched The Descent when it first came out, and this is another movie where like I feel I was tricked. Like, it is a monster movie, but you see the monsters so poorly, and I just feel like I was cheapened. Like, when a movie goes out of its way to use dark lighting, I always feel like they're post hoc rationalizing their choices, meaning like when you watch The Descent, you're done, and you watch any interviews with any of the people involved with making, they're like, well, we really wanted to build a sense of claustrophobia, and we didn't we wanted it to be about this idea, so we didn't want it to be like a B-rated horror movie, so we didn't really show the monsters and the creatures as much as a lot of Hollywood types would have. And it's like, so basically really what you end up with is an hour and 45 minutes of really low lighted claustrophobic girls screaming, and that's it. Like, so that part really bugged the piss out of me. Like, if we're gonna have a monster movie, can we please have a fucking monster movie? So overall, I've only seen The Descent once, and I barely remember anything from it. Like, being so wildly unimpressed with it. I don't care. I think the thing I remember the most was I think there's a fake out at the end, right? Where one of the chicks thinks she makes it out, but really it was like a dream or some shit. Like, I think that's the only thing I really remember. Fourth Kind, that is the one with Mila, right? The Russian name? I can't remember. It's kind of a found footage movie, right? It doesn't get any better. Yeah, 28 days later, 28 weeks later, those movies, they're okay. They're all right. But interestingly enough, I always get like, if you guys have ever seen the movie with Richard Gere called Mothman Prophecies or whatever. I always get The Fourth Kind in my memory and Mothman Prophecies mixed up. They have like a similar vibe to me. I remember there being one really cool scene from The Fourth Kind, but it's literally, I'm pretty sure what's on the like cover for the movie. It's the whole like bed scene, and that's not enough to really keep me intrigued. Oh, so funny. Yeah, I saw that was available to watch. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. It was very disappointing. You know what's funny? That does not surprise me that it's disappointing for how quickly it landed on streaming. I was like, that's not a good sign. That's really not a good sign. Is The Darkest Hour? That's right. Yeah, I don't know that I ever saw The Darkest Hour. Got this thing. The Darkest Hour gave me vibes of like, are you not quite 18 years old? Okay, well then you should come see this movie because you don't have to be 18 or 17 or whatever the fuck it is. When movies are made for teenagers, I automatically am not interested in seeing them, like, at all. Like, Darkest Hour reminded me of like what like Twilight was for horror, you know? I don't want to be like placated to like a teenager. Like Maze Runner, Darkest Hour, all these weird teeny boppy movies that really deal with intense shit, but then never ever like really push the limit. There wasn't any gore. Yeah, you like another one that really pissed me off that did this exact same thing was, and it had such potential from the trailer. I actually went and saw this in theaters and I regret seeing it in theaters. Was a movie called Chronicle. And it was what would happen if a bunch of teenage boys got superpowers. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. Don't. It's a piece of shit. And I should have walked out when I saw that it was rated PG-13. Because here's the reality. If you gave a bunch of like fucking 15 and 16-year-old boys superpowers, it would not be a PG-13 movie. That's all I'm saying. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. There's no way. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, anyone who's watched long enough knows that I really don't even trust movies that are generally like rated PG-13. Like I need the movie, the artists, the writers, the filmmakers to have the freedom to do what they want. And I have heard enough, and by that I mean a lot of interviews and stories about how much the studios fuck with the artists trying to make the films, and it makes complete sense. You know, if you really look to where the benefits of money come from, I mean, I believe kids books today, like, and has been for some time, like children's books, I'm pretty sure like literally the most money-making versions of books ever made. Kids television has so much money in it because parents, I apologize to everyone who's already heard me rant, because parents just want to throw their kids in front of something. They don't really care what it is, except if it's rated R. So people are incentivized to make movies that have lower ratings, where the real money is. Do I watch shows? I watch a ton of shows. I'm actually watching Aaron Sorkin's Newsroom right now, and I'm loving that. Have I seen Antichrist with Willem Dafoe? Yes, I have. I actually love, okay, what's his name? It's a weird German name. I love his movies. I've seen Antichrist the most, but Melancholia, Nymphomaniac Volume 1 and 2. Why can't I think of that dude's name? But yeah, no, Antichrist, great movie. I have watched it actually many, many times, and it is super what the actual fuck, but it's really good. It's more art house than I usually am really into, but it's a fun thing. I actually, dude, Doom Patrol, I have such a bad relationship with that movie. I was dating this chick in college who just had some very interesting points of views on things, and watching how much she loved Doom Patrol up and down, like how much she loved this movie was like in the face of everything else she believed in, and it irritated the fuck out of me. That, because that movie is wicked violent, like, and it's really awkward and really fucking weird. And the fucking director who did Doom Patrol, his other shit is just as fucking weird. Lars von Trier, yes, that was the one I was thinking. He also made, yes, The House that Jack Built, which was interesting. Oh, wait, sorry, The Show. I have not, wow, I just went on a whole other tangent. No, I haven't seen The Show. That's a DC one, right? Doom Patrol is DC. Okay, well, you know what? Don't watch the movie, all right? The show, I don't have an opinion on. Doom Patrol is DC, right? Okay, all right. I have heard, is Doom Patrol the one that kind of like Brendan Fraser kind of came back in? I mean, he came in the, you know, last year he had the big comeback with The Whale, but I feel like it was Doom Patrol he came back in, right? The very opposite of PG-13, yeah. Del Toro's Pinocchio. Let me see the art exhibit. I haven't actually seen it. I probably, to be honest, I probably won't see it. Is it like super Disney? I don't care if Del Toro's attached to it. Robert Rodriguez did Spy Kids, okay? You know, like I like Del Toro a lot, but I don't give a shit about Pinocchio. It's so off-putting. Very creepy. Really? Huh. Okay. Oh, I'll have to check it out. There's very few Disney movies I feel any real like attachment to. I would say like honestly my favorite like Disney movie, if I really got pushed to like say like for example, I was 25 when it was the 20th I want to say maybe the 20th anniversary of Lion King, and I went and saw that in theaters when they re-released Lion King. That movie, to me, it will probably always have some like super nostalgic value. But other than that, until they literally like until Disney releases some rights so that people can make like really terrifyingly inappropriate adult versions of Disney movies, I'm probably not that interested. War scene, I'm glad I did. Oh, okay. Yo, crippled artist, what's going on? Has 0 to do. Really? How old am I? I'm 30. How fucking old am I? Oh, 36. I've seen, by the way, guys, I don't usually spend forever cleaning off the molds, but I do want this fire pit, so we have to clean off all the clay we put on here. Entirely stop motion. Nice work so far. Thank you. Yeah, we did sculpt this fire pit completely and then molded it and cast it in plastic to sculpt the flames. So, I've been doing it. Pinocchio was so whiny and irritating in Del Toro's version. When did this come out? Has everyone just been watching this Pinocchio movie? I think I heard something about it, but I didn't watch it. Before the Jar Jar series. Yeah, I don't know. There's like some part of me that sees like a value in doing live action versions of the Disney movies. But then the other part of me is got this idea that they actually make them more kiddie when they make them live action. Like, I admittedly have not watched the live action Lion King, but I remember watching Mulan growing up when I was a kid, and I have watched the live action Mulan, and I have watched Aladdin, and I've watched the live action of Aladdin, and the live actions, if anything, automatically should be more disturbing, just because of the way that you're gonna, just the fact that it's real people should make it scarier. But then they almost seem to go out of their way to make them even more boring, like, and childlike. And it's really weird, this fascination that people have nowadays, production companies and humans, us. I don't really get it. I would love to hear or read a study that's done about this, about how adults now, I'll say ranging between 25 and 40, we live in this world where we are still into kid shit. Like, we still really like kid stuff that you're supposed to like when you're a kid. And so there's all this money being made from production companies, like reliving like all of our childhood garbage. Like here's the thing. I don't understand. I mean, I get how parents might want their kids to watch Disney, but it seems like there's just as much money being made from adults buying all this garbage as it is kids. Because we didn't get to be kids. I'm that same generation, and I'm happy to not be a kid anymore. I was so excited to not be a kid. Like, I was tired of all the garbage I had to do. I couldn't go see the movies I wanted to see, or I was not allowed to buy the video game I wanted to buy, or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. I just don't fucking get it. And so now it's like, it's one thing, it's like if you drop your kid off to watch a Disney movie, but it's a whole other thing. It's like, whole ass grown adults are like really into all this like kiddie shit, and it makes me really fucking nervous. To be honest, it makes me really fucking nervous. And the worst part is, for me, is knowing how insane I am, that I am one R-rated Disney movie away from becoming a Disney fan. Like, when they started doing Deadpool, when they did Logan, now here's the thing, I liked the X-Men movies already, but when I heard they were going to do Logan and Deadpool and they were going to be R-rated movies, I was so there for that. And those two movies actually show that there's a ton of money in the adult market for like Marvel and hero movies, and yet studios are still playing this like risky game of whether or not a movie is going to be appealing to an adult audience, or if it's just going to be for kids or whatever. I don't know. It's fucking weird ass shit. Freaks me out. It freaks me out. And if it wasn't so obviously, again, like just placating, it's the sellout feature, you know? It just sucks that what you have to do to sell out is to make shows that are for children. That just, wigs me out. I think a perfect example of this, going back full circle to my hatred for Paul W.S. Anderson, is you have Paul W.S. Anderson in, what, 96, 94, something like that, make Event Horizon. And then shortly after, he makes what I consider to be probably one of the worst video game adaptation movies ever, which was fucking Resident Evil, which was PG or PG-13. Then motherfucker somehow gets signed on to make the Alien vs. Predator movie, which then also gets a PG or PG-13 rating. Both these series and source material shit is like fucking R-rated at best. And then he just ruins them because that's where the money is. And that just, I think, you know what? If anyone ever asks me why I refuse to watch PG-13 movies or below, I'm going to only ever talk about those movies and say, because of that, I don't want to support movies being made with those ratings. I don't care if this means, I would happily live in a world where every Disney movie was rated X. Just saying. Or could be, meaning you could do whatever the fuck you wanted in the movie. I'd much rather live in that world. I think the biggest slap to the face was when he released a unedited version of AVP, and they literally went in and CGI'd more blood into certain shots. It was so garbage. It was so garbage. The people that I argue with about this stuff, they're like, well, you need to have like offensive language and blood and nudity in every movie to make it worth your time. And like my knee-jerk reaction is like, yeah, I do. But that's really not the truth. The truth is, I need to feel like I'm watching the creator's uninterrupted, unfiltered version of their story. I don't want to feel like I can totally understand and have written the script for the board meetings creating this movie. I want to feel like there's something more to it, that I'm actually witnessing someone's vision, you know? And that's what I want to see now. Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, there are some really good like PG-13 movies. You know, there's absolute shit fuck ton of them. But they were ones that never needed it. You know, by any standard, by any measure, they didn't need it. They didn't need to be R-rated or anything like that. But there's been so many more movies that absolutely needed R ratings that we didn't get. And that shit pisses me off. When are we getting a Spawn remake? Oh, we've been hearing about that for a long fucking time. The truth is, I don't ever think we're going to get a Spawn remake. You know why? Because I think, one, pretty sure Todd McFarlane still has been, from my understanding, he refuses to give up the rights. If there's ever going to be another Spawn movie, I'm pretty sure he requires that he has to make the movie. So yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Phineas, thank you for the follow. Yeah, and honestly, again, I don't know the source material for Spawn, so I'm totally unbiased when it comes to this. But I think there's just so much where Spawn needs to make his money has to be on the fans, because I don't know that Spawn is a big enough franchise, like say Superman, right, or something like that, where it can get by for like average viewers going to see it that don't have any buy-in. I think Spawn needs to be something that the fans really like. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is big enough that it doesn't really need just fan appreciation. But if it is, it's all the more pressure to make sure you try and get it right. And they could totally fuck it up, so. Toys R Us sale, I almost number 3 on myself. Yeah, McFarlane's got some cool stuff. I really liked his Tortured Souls series that he did with, I never bought any of them, but the Tortured Souls series he did, I'm pretty sure it was McFarlane, with Clive Barker. I thought that was really cool. I actually really don't know jack shit about McFarlane. Like, at all. I don't know anything about the fuck. His story, none of that shit. There was one fan-made Spawn trailer that I thought looked really cool. I want to say it was maybe within the last 10 years. And who knows? You know, I didn't ever think we were going to get a Mortal Kombat reboot, and we got one, which was certainly better than, again, Paul Anderson's movies. But it's, I mean, I think a lot of people, even who say that it was better, could also say that there was better things they could have done for sure. Supposed to be trying to line something up with a buddy of mine who does like watch along movie reviews on YouTube. I'm supposed to be maybe joining him for something. He asked me what movies he thought I would want to be able to talk about. I was like, man, I'll talk about any of them. I will talk about any movie, even if it's a terrible movie. Oh, fun movie. Didn't really care for the ending, but interesting idea. I just watched it. It's on Tubi. You guys can watch it for free. It was actually, I don't know how or why I picked it, but it is called Prospect. I had never heard of it. It's got, what is his fucking name? The guy who played Mandalorian, and he's in Game of Thrones, and he's in fucking Kingsman, the second one. What is his fucking name? It's got that guy. And it's on Tubi. I don't know where else you can watch it. It's like this futuristic story about like space mining, basically. It's really weird, but it was pretty unique. So if you guys get a chance, you should check that out. Gotta run. Great work, man. Thanks for the inspiration. I'm gonna sculpt something today. Cool, dude. If you haven't got a chance to join the Discord, you totally should, so you can post your work. I love seeing other people's work. So if you guys haven't joined the Discord, you totally should. Also note that if you make it to level 10 in the Discord, you'll get a certain permission that'll actually allow you to come in and chat with me while I'm live on stream. So I highly suggest you do so. But yeah, Prospect, check it out. It's on Tubi. I'll think of that guy's name. In the meantime, I cannot think of his name to save my life right now. Is this clay just melting? Why does it smell so bad? Yeah, I don't know when, but probably a little bit later, we are going to wrap up the art stream part of this. It's going to be a while, but we're going to wrap up the art stream part of this, and we'll probably end up playing some Forest. After playing the other night after the updates, I was kind of like, man, this is actually kind of fun. I kind of want to restart the game. And actually, I don't know, for those of you who don't know, this fire pit is actually for a Forest-based diorama that I'm working on, so... that's my problem. I forgot to do the thing. I forgot to put it in the right category. And we just started off the stream and got into a ton of movie talks stuff. That was fun. But I did learn apparently that I'm going to have to check out the new Pinocchio flick, at least to see what it's all about. Come on. Thanks for the like, guys. I really appreciate it. We've been live for an hour. Damn, we talked about movies for a fucking hour. That's crazy. I got already 1,000 likes. Thank you. You can see, like, we had a ton of undercuts in this fire pit, right? So it's gonna be cool once we get that flames all made. We paint up the fire pit, we wire in the LEDs. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Some electrical research I have to do. I mean, I don't do a ton of LED wiring. Usually they're pretty easy to work with, but I want to wire in, like, honestly, like, maybe it could be like 60 LEDs. Any books that I would like to see become movies. Some books I would have liked to have seen become better movies. First one that pops in my head is one I was bitching about earlier this week, which is I was a big fan of the book Meg, and then the sequel, The Trench, which had now been made into shitty action movies that basically ended up having nothing to do with the original stories. It was probably the best, like, I mean, these were, I'm pretty sure, like, almost like Peter Benchley level fucking amazing books that they turned into shitty action movies with Jason Statham. So those are the ones I would like to have seen made into better movies. But any other books? I'm trying to think. So my book interests generally come from movies. So, like, I'll watch a movie and it'll get me on some topic or be directly based upon a book that I don't know about. So not off the top of my, well, again, better movies, which would be like Alien vs. Predator, the books. I was a nerd growing up, just like a lot of people are, and the books by Stephanie Perry that did like the original AVP storyline was really cool, and I would have loved to have seen movies based on those. But no, other than that, I can't really think. Again, most of my books that I would want, I found like reverse, meaning like I watched a movie, found out it was based upon a book, and looked into that. You know? What about you? I mean, in all reality, I don't know how good anyone is ever going to be able to do a movie adaptation of a book. I think it's generally a very tricky concept. Story books, okay. Yeah, I would say I generally agree, because I think movies are automatically at a disadvantage in that scenario because, well, you know, it's really hard to compete with someone's imagination, you know? I think it's really interesting when you look at films that the writer was directly involved with. First one that comes to mind is how Clive Barker made Hellraiser, which was based upon his own book, you know, The Hellbound Heart. And when you look, now admittedly, that book itself, it's a full book, but it's not that long. What is it, like a couple hundred pages maybe or something like that? It's not that long. And it's pretty damn close. But even there, where he's in full control, he changed some things. I'm pretty sure, like, Kirsty, it's a weird shit that I don't fully understand. Kirsty in the book, I want to say, is not what is his name? Not Frank, the other guy, the dad. It's not his daughter. It's like his assistant or something. Weird ass shit. Like, why change that? What did we need? Goddamn internet. What's going on, cam recorder? Why are you already angry at the internet? Why are we already angry at the internet? Is Carrion Comfort? I've never heard of that. But Carrion, is that like the bird? Being all, I'm gonna say bye. It's right. And comes back an hour later and shut off again. What the fuck? And then come back out a half hour later. Are you having crazy storms in your area? I'm in Vegas, and everyone has been posting online about how Vegas is flooded. And I'll believe it, but I have to say, living here and driving around, I haven't seen any flooding. It's really weird. Literally tons of people are posting videos online of like streets being washed away and shit. And I'm not trying to jinx myself here, but I haven't seen any of that. I've seen some pretty heavy rain, and I've seen, you know, moderate to high levels of like water, like, and stuff, but no streets being washed out and shit. I've been a customer since the 90s. I'm in a gray area for Xfinity. Yeah, camcorder, you would think that this, I don't even think preferential treatment exists anymore when it comes to customer service. People can control others telepathically. Interesting, okay. Is this book by like a favorite author of yours? How did you find out about this book when you first found it? Oh, I got one. All right, guys, check it out. I totally forgot about this book. It has not been made into a movie, but it would be an awesome fucking movie. Okay. The book is called, and I think there's a sequel. I haven't read the sequel, but the book is called The Nymphos of Rocky Flats. and or the nymphomaniacs of no, it's called the Nymphos of Rocky Flats, and it is literally about a vampire detective. And apparently in this world, it just kind of is that there are like these random fantasy creatures like vampires and shit. I think goblins and trolls and unicorns too. But anyways, but it's very much told in like a realistic view. This detective, it gets called to a military base where insane cases of nymphomania have been broken out. But this detective is a fucking vampire, and he can like he automatically entrances people with his stare. He like hypnotizes them automatically. So he actually, to get by and act like a normal human, has to wear contacts that like break the barrier of his like ability to entrance someone. So he's like perfected this ability to pop in his contacts without anyone noticing, and being able to literally use his eyelids to like squirt out his contacts when he needs the ability to do it. And there's other creatures in the story, but it's kind of like a modern, there's a word for this, or a phrase. Shit, what's it called? Like Dick Tracy-esque kind of like investigatory story. It's interesting. The book is really fun, really easy to read. Been a loyal paying customer for more than 2 decades, almost more than 3. Damn. Yeah, they won't care about that, dude. They like I said, I'm pretty sure loyalty doesn't matter anymore when it comes to that. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't think it does. What was his name? It was like Sylvester or something. Like, I can't remember what the guy's name was. This is pretty cool. The vampire detective dude. I'm not nearly as much of a reader as I would like to be. When I read, that's not true. Actually, I would say I read quite a bit, but I don't usually read fiction. I like my fiction in film form or video game form. If I'm reading, it's usually nonfiction. I would say most of the books, if I read fiction, most of them were going to be when I was much younger. I want to say like before I turned 20, probably. Be when I read the most fiction. Sounds like an interesting premise. Was it like you say it was a hoot? Was it like a drama, like a serious book, or more of almost like a pseudo comedy? Because it sounds like that would, lead to some random hijinks that, would be more funny than anything else. But if it went dark, it could also be really fucking dark, I think I read the original Jurassic Park book too. I want to say. Again, having seen the movie first, I wanted to read it. That's true of a very interesting concept. Yeah, it sounds fascinating. I feel like reading books for me is one of those things where it's very easy for me to get distracted, and like so I have definitely started way more books than I have finished. That is for sure true. I don't know if that's true with big readers or not, Right now we're cleaning off a fire pit sculpture that we just took a mold of the flames, and I just wanted to get most of the clay off of it before we go and pop the actual flames. Wow, learn something new every day. I didn't know that Forrest Gump was actually based on a book. That's news. I had no idea. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It kind of has that vibe, but I had no idea Forrest Gump was based on a book. I have... Wait, news. I've been waiting for years for, and I'm super fucking excited. Camcorder, what is the news? What do you got? What do you got cooking, yo? Are you gonna, like, just leave me all, like, wondering what the news is? Or are you putting it... I hear things going off in Discord. Is that you putting shit in Discord? I'm hearing things. I think that's gonna have to be good. So we got all this fucking clay. The Pokemon community has finally published a work-in-progress guide to modeling just about everything in the latest 3D Pokemon game, aka Scarlet and Violet. Okay. Wait. I think I need to... Miss Kitties, thank you for the follow. The Pokemon community has finally published a... How big is the guide? I don't know. I'm assuming this is online, so it's not like pages, right? All right, guys, now we got to cut this bad boy open. How do we want to do this? How do we want to do this? For example, the guide, once finished, will tell me how to replace everything from sounds to Pokédex entries to finally customize animation and variants. Interesting. Is very, very early. Is it like crowd... not crowdfunded, but crowdsourced, like everything is from the fans, basically. Skeleton, okay. You need a razor blade, a really big razor blade. I swear I had a big razor blade. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm gonna go see if I can find a really large razor blade. I'll be right back. Bam, got one. Yeah, I know you said the community. I'm just curious what that means. I don't know what the community means. Is like Reddit? You fucking smart ass. Like, is there an official community, or is it just like, you know, I don't know. AKS. Okay, so it is. It's all right. It's like unofficial. This is where I protect my eyes. No, we're gonna do it smart. I have too many computer monitors and cameras and stuff in here to fuck up if I don't do this right. So. We used to, out in the studio, we will straight up just like push it up against the floor and let it break off. But I'm not risking it right now, so. Okay. here, maybe? No, here, and then we could do here. So oh, we were so close. I don't know my own strength, guys. That's what happened. Okay. Whole reason I picked that side. Just need to do my best to not, damage my hands or cut myself or anything like that. I really wish I had a really long, really sharp. Hold on. Maybe we can cheat. This is not going to work at all, I don't think. Well, kind of there. Fuck you, dude. Need like nope, that's not gonna work. Take out a V chunk. I don't want to take out a V chunk, because then I will have to maybe I don't understand what you mean, but okay, we're getting somewhere now. We're getting somewhere. Tediously, but we're getting there. Ah. damn it. Yeah, it's kind of what I was afraid of. Oh well. We'll get most of it, okay? That's what's important. Fascinating. Fascinating. Just happy there wasn't any inhibition. Usually when I use terpenoid to smooth clay out, sometimes it'll inhibit the silicone we cast in, so it's nice that that didn't happen. Quite pleased. Anyone got any exciting, is it Labor Day? Labor Day plans? Our studio's all closed down. I don't really do shit for Labor Day, but I just figure I'm the odd man out. Other people actually do things. Oh, and of course that just happened. Whoa! I really don't want to do it. I guess I could. Why? Okay, fine, whatever. We could cut this one into like a 3-part mold, I suppose. It's got a lot of undercuts, so it would be understandable to do, honestly, but... I think I'm hearing thunder, guys. This is why I wish I had 3 arms right here, okay? What a pain in the butt that was. But we were almost necessarily going to need it to happen to be able to get the resin out once we actually cast it. Like this area right here is a huge undercut, so. So that'll, because we cut it all wonky, it should, yeah, kind of key nicely back together, right? And then this should kind of key nicely back together, and then there are flames that will go on. So for those of you who don't know, we had another version much smaller. These were our original flames. They're hollowed out, and we had a bunch of LEDs that we wired inside of them to make it like light up. Michelle, thank you for the rose times 10. Thank you. So that was on the much smaller fire pit. This was the original fire pit design. My scale was completely off, so that's why we had to redo it. And this is kind of basically kind of been my like working prototype basically for how the flames are going to work on this much larger one. So you guys can see even just by this, scale is significantly different, right? So we're gonna basically, the goal is gonna be, we'll see how much it works, but I'm gonna wire up a literal crap ton of LEDs, flickering red and orange LEDs. I think I have some around. Hold on a second. We already did a test to make sure it was gonna work, but these things, right? These ones are already actually wired into UV. But we're gonna literally wire all these bad boys together, just a ton of them. Make sure that they're cast where we want them. Stick them in here, and then we're going to pour in some kind of clear resin, pressure pot it, let it cure. Then grind out whatever we don't need from this. Take that, put it on here, and we'll have like a burning fire pit. At least that's that is the idea. So this should go like, is it that or is it? I feel like this is the one, is it not? Yeah, so you can see the flames kind of key up, or the way that they're supposed to key up. Nicholas, thank you for the follow. If you guys can see in there or not. But that's how we're going to do the flames. So it's going to be interesting. Dark Souls? Good guess. No, but it is a video game. We're working on a diorama for a monster called the Armsy from the original Forest game. They actually put him in the most recent one. But a lot of people have been saying Dark Souls. So who knows? You know what? When this is all said and done, it will be available on my Etsy shop for people that want something that's like a fire pit that burns and emits light. If you guys haven't noticed, the majority of my projects are always based on things that I would probably spend money on buying from other people, but no one's ever fucking making them. So they only, like, they make model fire pits you can buy, but they're usually really, really small. They're for like train sets. I needed something that was much larger. So that's why I decided to just make my own fire pit. So we sculpted, these are actual rocks we embedded in, and then we sculpted a lot of the bark and the trees. I used some real sticks and twigs and then sculpted bark on these. And I'm also hoping to have it be hollow like this one, the fire pit, and there'll be no paint on the inside here. So what'll happen is light will be emitting out through this too. So you'll actually get like an orange glowing from the embers inside the fire pit too. What's going on, Glitch? Looking most excellent. Thank you. It's coming along nicely. So the hard part is going to be wiring it. I don't know a ton about LEDs and electricity. I've learned quite a bit during this whole process. And so I'm going to try to wire in as many as I can into it so that it emits as much light as possible. If you guys go back, I want to say a couple months, we already did this process for this one. That's kind of where we realized that this wasn't going to be big enough. So the theory is sound. Let me just put it that way. Execution of said theory, not totally figured out quite yet. So, but I wanted to show you guys the mold for the fire pit and the demolding, showing it was moving along. And now we got to work on the hand. Okay. So I've taken this a little bit further off stream. The mold making for this severed hand we've been working on, but as you can imagine, it's very much a detailed process and it takes a little bit of time to go in and build those walls without destroying the original sculpt of the severed hand. So that's where we're going to work on next. I'm going to step out real quick, but Steve here is going to keep you guys company whilst I step away. I'll be right back, and then we'll keep on going. If you guys want to see also real quick how we got these projects to where they are thus far, you can check out the Discord or my YouTube where we have all the past streams posted there. So I'll be right back. Bam. Okay. Hope everyone was kind to Steve while we were away. So I'm going to be a little bit more brave with this mold than I would generally suggest most people be when working on a mold. So here's the thing. This mold, I'm dedicated to make it a 2-part mold. The drawback to that is that it probably shouldn't be a 2-part mold. It should probably be about a 3-part mold. But I'm gonna plan to cast it in silicone. So if I make it a fiberglass mold, it needs to be able to pop apart. There is a chance I will mess this up. I really hope I don't, and I'm able to pull apart the mold, okay? But there's a likely lock here. Basically, if you look at it from the top down, try and show it the best I can, there's likely a lock right here. Meaning if this is the top half of the mold, and what you're seeing is the back half, like how do you get it apart, right? My hope is that I'm going to be able to pry it apart in such a way that I might have to bend it a little bit, but it'll be fiberglass, so it should be slightly flexible, right? And it should let me get it apart. I'm going to do fiberglass. I'm not going to do aluma resin, and I'm not going to do ultracal or stone for this exact reason. If I do it out of fiberglass, I plan it right, I should be able to flex it to pop it off a little bit. This is going to be the hardest part. If I can pop this side off, it should be okay. And then I can cast in, if it's going to be cast in silicone, it won't matter because the piece itself will be flexible. It may cut it, but I can always repair it. I just really don't want, on a project so tiny, even though it has some very dynamic form to it, I really don't want to have to make a multiple piece mold. Every time you add another piece, there's another seam. I want to avoid seams as much as possible. So my goal is to have the top half and the back half, right? And basically what you're seeing right now is that we'll mold the top half and clean everything off, flip it over and mold the back half. Having said that, it could all end in tragedy. We are not going to be putting the resin on today, but we do have to finish the actual sculpt of the walls. And you can see we aren't going to have to worry about keys too much because the walls are inherently pretty keen. There's a lot of shapes, a lot of hard edges that will allow the piece to clamp together pretty easily. Yeah, I should have done several things differently, but I like to make my life more difficult than it needs to be, so that's why we did it. And I did get a bunch more canned air. Screw this stuff. It's super electric. Why did I say that? It's super expensive. But we bought it from like a kind of like mom and pop hardware shop. So it's going to be more expensive. And then I got some other stuff from Home Depot, but this stuff works really great when you're trying to do sculpting on small things, because you can freeze what you're working on and make it a little bit firmer. That will allow you to get finer detail with your edges and things along those lines. So I was out of it for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. So it kind of slowed things down because you have to be a lot more careful if you don't have this, or at least this is my opinion. I really, really like being able to freeze what I'm working on. It makes things a lot easier. So again, I use harsh light too. I have this lamp like right down on this so that I can cast the shadows the way I need to see where there's like undercuts and things like that. Ooh, I just saw a little bit of a power surge. Let's see. I don't know what the weather's like outside. It's been basically crazy raining in Vegas for the last 3 days. So if my power went out, I would not be surprised in the slightest. I am always losing my sculpting tools. this area first here. That perfect example of when I'll freeze it, right? Chill out. Now I'm assuming I'm touching the clay, the sculpted clay a little bit, but I'm doing my best to not touch it with this tool. It is going to touch it, but I've frozen it, so it should reduce how much, like, quote unquote damage the tool is doing to the original sculpt. Should be minimizing it. It does firm up all the clay, including the clay that we're using to sculpt the wall, but that is inherently softer than the clay we're already using, so Where it is. Obviously, it's really delicate. We don't want to mess up the tiny little fingernail that we have sculpted for the thumb either, which would be really easy to do. Because I don't want to put the seam right on the cuticle. Or is it the cuticle? Yeah, the cuticle. Like this area. I don't want to put the seam on there. I want to run it just off. So where the seam really should be to reduce undercuts would be like right here, right in the crease. But I want the seam to be like right here, just off to the side. If you're not careful, this stuff will burn you too. It's so cold it could burn you, so you do want to be careful just to put enough down on your working area, or wear gloves. The best canned air for this I have found is actually from the company Uline. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have access to Uline. I don't know if they do, like, that's what I'm looking for. If they do sell to, like, individuals and not just companies. I don't know. But the Uline brand is really awesome. You get a lot more per can. It's cheaper. And I feel like, honestly, it's colder. Worst brand, Staples. Staples has the worst brand of canned air. It leaves behind a residue that will eat away at oil-based clay. It evaporates pretty quickly, but it does leave behind that residue, which is really annoying. Man, this one's going to be a bit tricky. I sculpted the clay part of the hand out of hard Chavant, so again, it's not going to be, it's already just by its nature, is going to be more firm than the clay we're sculpting the walls out of. But you could still mess them up, so you should probably do your best to not do that. And if you're more comfortable with working with like 3D printer tech and 3D designing your stuff, that would probably work best for something of this scale. Making molds of stuff this tiny I can totally see the advantage of just 3D printing them. If you have a 3D printer that prints at the quality that you're looking for. Where'd you go, music? Are you coming back? There it is. It just needed to be taunted, okay? Yo! Hello, what's going on? Getting closer and closer to your tattoo date. Heck yeah, 20 more days. Nice. Real nice. I saw something, I want to say it was on YouTube the other day, like an ad or a short or something. No, it must have been a short. I think it was on either Instagram or YouTube. It wasn't on TikTok, I know that. And it literally said, it was like, it felt like a commercial for some type of antidepressant, and it was like showing all these people looking really sad, like sitting on their couch or on a stoop or something like that, like, and just kind of like blindly looking off into the distance, and they're like, are you depressed? Can you not sleep at night? And just like, you know, shit like that. And then all of a sudden it was like, what you need is another tattoo. And I was like, I know people like that. Start school on Tuesday, so I've been getting ready for that. Nice. Did you end up picking up one of the air tags like you were talking about? Picked it up on Thursday. Are you sewing it in, or are you just throwing it in like a backpack or something like that? At that age, I mean, I don't know, like, if they're gonna like fuck with it or what, but throwing it hit him Hawkins backpack, so that's really a pain whenever I have to replace the battery. Yeah, but you don't have to replace. Isn't it the whole point, like, that you shouldn't have to replace the battery, like, ever or very, very, very rarely, right? I don't know shit about air tags other than what my buddies have told me, so I thought the whole premise was that they have a super long battery life. It seems really stupid that they would have. It's a year-long battery. I just don't want to cut it out every time. Yeah, I can't say I blame you. That's pretty cool. Did you do research to find out like how accurate they are? Like, are, is it up to what, like 10 feet, or like how accurate? Without a sim plan, yeah. So I'm dying to know. Okay, so how that I want to know how accurate they are. And do you get like a whole app and everything that goes with it? You can see exactly where they are, or what? are its limitations? Other than like probably freaking the teachers out, knowing that like when they get a notification on their phone saying that there's an air tag nearby. To be a fly on the wall would be hilarious. Although I bet teachers are probably used to that. I feel like parents are probably throwing air tags, just like they're probably embedding them into their children's skin at this point. You know? Oh, really? So, interesting. So, if there's no Apple devices nearby, which again would be pretty crazy, most people have like an iPhone or some shit. But if there isn't an Apple device to buy, it just won't work. So if they're out in the middle of nowhere with no one around them, you wouldn't be able to see where it is. It's kind of crazy. City of 1 million plus, so I'm not super worried. Yeah, good point, good point. I know my buddy, his big thing was putting it in his luggage when he would go to an airport, so he could track where his luggage was. It's funny to me because he actually, even with that, they lost his luggage. The good news for him was he could find it. But he also just saw that it was traveling to another state, which was funny. Okay, but if you really thought that, you probably wouldn't be getting the AirTag, right? If you were fully confident, there would not be a purchasing of the AirTag, no? Or is it from some? It's probably for maybe some other time that you're not a fan of. I keep hearing rumors that you can put your credit card information now, like you can get it embedded into your skin. I don't know how true that is. It might be real. If it's real, I don't know anyone who's done it. And at that point, can we do the AirTag thing? Just, underneath the first couple layers of skin or something like that? I'm not fully confident. Oh, okay, gotcha. Wait, your kid's is pretty young, right? Am I mistaken? Pretty young kid. What age do you think you'll actually end up saying screw it and getting a phone? Retrospectively, I think I was, again, whatever like 7th grade is, or yeah, like 7th grade is probably when I got my phone. Is that like 12, 13? It was a garbage phone, but still 3.5. And can't speak. Probably next year. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I feel like people are probably getting phones way earlier than I got them. Remember when I got my phone, I wish I was bugging my parents forever to get a Nextel. I wanted the Nextel. I wanted the whole walkie-talkie feature and all that. I think we got T-Mobile was like our first cell. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Contract, I guess. I don't know. Service. Yeah. Looking phone next year. Yeah. Alright, we went too far into the clay there, so we'll have to fix that a little bit. That seam is rather deep. So we're kind of just doing some like resculpting, right? Bum, 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 bum. I don't know if I had a kid, I don't know what age I would get them a phone, to be honest. Part of me is like super against the idea of young kids having phones. Just because of how much of a shit I would have been. But at the same time, with the tech that exists today in the average phone, you know, that would have been really unique and weird and strange to me at that time. So it would have been, I think, would have played into the not the greatest things. But nowadays, everyone just grows up with that shit being all around. So I think the novelty of it probably makes it more boring. To be completely honest, I actually don't have any idea how annoying it must be and how much it probably messes with kids' heads with social media being as like prevalent and available as it is at that young of an age. Even like, you know, teenagers, like, dude, all the drama and shit in high school and middle school and all that, I can't even imagine. I'm really happy we didn't have those. We didn't have that aspect to worry about. It was bad enough. It was bad enough with like minimal shit. I lived in a small fucking town too, so I'd imagine live in a really populated town, it's gonna be worse. Text me using his phone and let me know. No shit, really? What do you just give the teacher like the password to their phone or some shit? Hope you trust the teachers. Not saying you shouldn't, you know. Wait, at that age, what even grade? Are we talking like, is this kindergarten? Kindergarten or like, I don't know, preschool or something? There you go, pre-K, okay. Wait, pre-K, so that is, it's like kindergarten, right? Or, I'm sorry, preschool, pre-K means before. TikTok, just a heads up, I'm going to be cutting stream here. My phone's about to die, and if you want to keep watching, you're going to have to jump over to Kick, YouTube, or Twitch, creatively_cursed, if you want to keep watching as I finish off this mold. So, TikTok, thanks so much for hanging out. I'll catch up with you guys later. Kick, YouTube, Twitch, creatively_cursed. It's a special needs school specifically for children with disabilities. Do things with parents that regular schools would. Oh, okay, shit. How many grades do they do for special needs? Is it just like the pre-K stuff, or they actually offer like a special needs version of all the grades? I don't know. I don't know how all that shit works. Oh, no shit. Okay. Fuck. That's cool that you guys got something like that around. I mean, in all honesty, I actually don't know how rare that is. It feels like that would be like a rare thing, but... It's also $4K a year tuition. It's actually not as bad as I would have guessed it would have been. So that's $2K every 6 months. It's a K every 3 months. So what's that? It's like $333. What? $333 like a month? Or something like that. Math. Fun times. Private school, yeah, it's not awful, but private schools in Canada aren't as expensive as US. Yeah, that's true. I feel like I've heard of private schools in the US being like thousands and thousands of dollars a month. I've one of the other people that owns the business, they send their kid to a private school, one of their kids to a private school, and I want to say it's thousands, and I want to say it's like $32,000 a year or something like that. I could be wrong. Which, I mean, hey, if it's that important to you, do it up. I don't know what the public schools are like in Canada, but in the U.S., I could totally see the advantage of sending to a private school. My home time was 28,000. Yeah, so okay, yeah, yep. It's again, it really depends on the value, right? If I mean, in a way, it sounds insane, but it really depends on what you're getting for that money. I thought I had recently heard that private school teachers actually average out making less than public school teachers. I thought that was really interesting. I haven't done the research myself, um, but that if you know, it's on average. I'm sure there's obviously statistics that break the rule, right? But it's all girls. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Private school I'm talking about, that the other owner, he it's a religious school. I think it's kind of funny, honestly, but I remember when I found out that he sent his kids to religious private schools, I was like, wait, what? Just due to the nature of what we do, right? Like, it was funny to me. He made a good point, which I tend to agree with. Well, I am not a religious person. There's like certain things I think you'd be hard pressed to say that like private religious schools kind of instill in you, like just certain like morals and ethics, that really aren't focused on in public schools. Now I don't know if the trade up is worth it, to be honest, like with any of the other bad parts of it, but I could see someone, he's not a particularly religious person, someone still valuing their kids learning some of those like basic, I don't know, moral and ethic things. Aren't religious, there's religious public schools here, but private schools aren't. There's gotta be some type of private school, even in Canada, that is like religious focused. Unless it's against the law, which, I mean, whatever. But, I mean, I knew someone, one of my exes, from way back in the day, she went to a private school up to high school. So what is that, through 8th grade? No, 7th grade? So no, up to 9th grade or whatever. And it was all art based. It was teaching everything through creativity. It was teaching everything through art, which I thought was really fascinating. I think that's a really cool idea. Not in your immediate area. Okay. Hell yeah. Every time I hear of like a religious private school, I just think of like nuns beating the children's hands with rulers. I know there's probably still some schools like that, but I know it's where my brain goes. Like honestly, well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like private schools that teach everything, why can't I speak? Everything through like a Wiccan. You know what I mean? If not, you should start that school. They teach like geometry, or not geometry, like geology, and it's all like about crystals and shit. Your stepkids go to a Catholic public school. Huh. Do they have like a uniform and everything? Like the traditional Catholic schoolgirl uniform and shit? Sorry to get pervy with it, but I'm assuming that's still a thing. Actually, a lot of schools have uniforms, not even religious ones, right? I seem to remember reading something about like a school, like schools even in like Boston and shit like that, having uniforms near public schools. No, it's standard street clothing, really. Well, biological children will not be going to. I can't say I blame you. So I was homeschooled from 6th grade up, but I oddly, when I started being homeschooled, took on like a huge responsibility myself to like maintain communication with a lot of my friends. But I have met many homeschooled individuals over the years where the whole idea of like socializing in a public like way was something that they never really learned, and they were super socially awkward. I feel like that's a more common experience than meeting someone who's homeschooled and was not socially awkward. Or an actual knowledge where religion isn't a subject and sex ed is part of the curriculum. That's true. I feel like, can you even find a place that actually treats sex ed the way it should be treated? I feel like even in private schools, non-religion, sex ed is still like this stupidly like taboo concept. Maybe I'm wrong though. Before I got homeschooled, my last year was 6th grade, and even at that time, no, admittedly, this was 20 plus years ago, right? So, wait a minute. So, yeah, I would have been like 13 years ago, or I'm sorry, 23 years ago, or something like that. You had to get, in our small town, you had to get a parent's permission to attend sex ed. I think there was like a breakdown of the syllabus, basically, and the parents would have to sign off on it. And some parents straight up didn't. Yeah, they did not sign off. I remember there being students in my class that would just like have to go to the like quote unquote principal's office during like the sex ed sessions, which were, I want to say, like, they only did it once a year, and it was for like four or 5 weeks, and it was like 3 times a week for an hour a day or something like that. Or hour 3 or 4 times a week for, I want to say, 4 weeks or something. And the students that their parents didn't get permission, yeah, they had to fuck off for however long the sessions were. It wasn't even then. Being in a small town, pretty religious town, I want to say maybe I only knew like 2 students that didn't get signed off from their parents. Statistically, you almost think like every parent would sign off on it for how like generally awkward parents are about this subject, which is weird to me. Had a really good sex ed course, which is surprising. Really? Do you remember much of it? Like, was it one course? Was it multiple times throughout different years? Because I want to say we had it starting in 5th grade, I want to say. We had to get everyone to sign off, and then in 6th grade it happened again. I have to ask my friends, because that was my last year I attended public school. I'm curious if they kept going every year talking about it. But when I was in college, one of my first English classes I took in college, we had to write a debate paper, or like there's a word for it. You had to write like a research paper, but in the stance, you had to take a stance on a topic or an argument. And my stance that I did a bunch of research on was about public education, or sexual education in public schools. And at that time, I'm sure the stats haven't really changed that much. The amount of schools that had little to no or really shitty sex ed was the vast majority. It was like 90+%. Where the really good schools, they did everything. They even had like fucking condoms and shit in the bathrooms that you could like buy for like 10 cents or whatever the case may be. It was a half-year course with a class every day. Wait, half-year course? So was that something that you had to sign up for? Like, you know, like a extracurricular or something like that? Because the shit I'm talking about was basic. The stuff I had was basically mandatory unless your parents wouldn't let you. It wasn't something that like you could sign up for. It was, we're doing this. If your parents want you to be a part of it, awesome. If not, then no. It was optional. So not everyone that went to your school did that. So it was like, would you even say it was just sex ed, or was it like sexual health and wellness? Like a whole course on all the different aspects of like reproduction and like almost like a science course on sexual health and wellness. Like, I feel like sex ed itself is a pretty small thing if you really narrow it down to the bare minimum. But I could totally see how there could be courses and courses and courses and courses repeating if you really expand what the classes are about. Honestly, they treated sex ed like they treated DARE. I don't know if DARE is even still around, but the like drug prevention classes we had to take and shit. Sex ed was a lot like that. It was a full course of sexual health and puberty and how babies are made. The whole science behind it, everything. We even had sex positive assemblies where they would teach us about different... Oh, that's... Really? Damn. This was... Well, you were still in the States, right? On the East Coast. Pretty liberal area. That's pretty cool. I like how you're like different self stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, and why? But parents didn't get to opt their kid. Oh, really interesting. Oh, no shit. So everyone... Okay, gotcha. Do you remember what year you were in when you had to take the whole class? Was this like a senior class, or could you just take it anytime in high school? Why did I have to do it this way, guys? Why did I have to sculpt a stupid fucking hand this way? Hmm. Oh, wow, okay. Sure. Yet surprisingly, our school had the highest teen pregnancy rate in the district. That's awesome. Well, did you guys have the condoms in the bathrooms or no? Your school's the exact reason why all parents actually didn't want their kids being taught sex ed, because your school was the one that actually just taught you all how to have sex. Yeah, you did? Okay, cool. I remember when I was 12, was the, no, 13 was the first time I bought condoms, and it wasn't even for sex. I was making explosive blood packets for squibs, and I still felt the whole weird, like, young kid nervousness buying them. Probably even more so, honestly, because I wasn't even buying them for sex. I was just like, man, this fucking sucks. Guess I'll go just do my nerd shit with these condoms. Vending machine in the hallway. That's dope. Hey, hey, do you remember roughly, I'm just curious, what your, like, what size your graduating class was? Like, how many people were in your class? It always gives me, like, perspective on how big a fucking school is, you know? $200? That's decent size, yeah. I'm gonna say ours was like 50 to 75 or something like that. Actually, I don't know. I feel like ours might have been more. I don't know. My perspective for this was how long I had to sit at fucking graduations to watch my buddies graduate. And maybe it's just because of how miserable I was sitting there that I think like it took longer to have everyone read off their names. You were the third person call. Yeah, but then you have to sit there either way forever. Because like once you're called, you still got to go go back and you sit and you wait for all your other fucking friends to get the fuck out. I was so close with so many people, even though I was homeschooled, that I still had to go to a shit ton of stupid ass fucking college or like school events that they all went to. I was so fucking annoyed. Oh no shit, that's what everyone did? Like you didn't have to wait around? That's nice. Yeah, everyone that like came up, got their graduation. I remember it was in like a football field that they did this in. Caught up, got their fucking diploma, and had to go sit back down. And like they weren't allowed to just fucking leave. Jesus. Oddly enough, Willow, for some reason that doesn't surprise me. I don't know why. Keep wanting to pull this and it keeps kind of pulling me around. Keep thinking I'm hearing thunder. Hey, at least, you know, I'm sure it didn't affect you getting your diploma. You still got to get the fuck out, so. Honestly, everyone bored in the audience was probably very happy that you ate shit. It's like when a car crashes when you're watching NASCAR. You're like, finally, something entertaining. I bet it did. I bet it did. Yeah, I mean, again, hope we'll be able to just pry this up and we should be able to get it off, but it's fucking tricky as shit. And to make one of these, I think I'm gonna have to inject it. But I want to have wires running inside the hand, right? that make it articulatable so you can like pose it somewhat, you know? It'll be one more product on my Etsy page that everyone will freak out because of how expensive it is. There'll be a keychain like made out of platinum grade silicone that I'm probably going to charge like $75 for. Because a shipment of diplomas got lost in the mail? Damn. Actually, if I was one of those people, I'd be like, sorry, Mom, can't graduate. They're just going to mail it to us later, so I'm not going. They didn't even just print out like a fake version of the diploma to let them like pretend to graduate, you know? Oh, they just fucking stayed home? Damn. Lucky bastards. I was pretty sure some of my friends weren't going to graduate. They were, dude, I'm assuming every school does this, but you know how there's the whole idea of like senior pranks and whatnot? The school like made it very clear that if if you were caught doing any type of senior prank, I'm gonna guess no matter how innocent it would have been, you were basically you were not going to be allowed to walk. You weren't allowed to graduate. I don't know how they would have enforced it, but my buddies, man, they came really fucking close. I think they were trying not to graduate, honestly. We're savage, yeah. Great, I've lost all my others. Ugh. That's fucking nasty. That is fucking gross as shit. I think I don't even remember all the stupid shit they did. I know they turned the senior hallway into a slip and slide. They didn't get caught doing it. Apparently a bunch of kids like participated. They didn't get caught doing it, but apparently they took like dish detergent and literally, I mean, this is one of those like the quote unquote main hallways. They just fucking sloshed the soap like detergent all over the floor with buckets of water, and everyone just ran up and down sliding through the fucking shit. Like, you know, that was one of them. I think I've heard other people doing that, but yeah. Can you imagine that fucking cleanup, dude? For anyone who's ever mopped out there, mopping up soap is not fun. Okay, guys, there it goes. We're pretty much done. So off stream, what I'll end up doing is basically extending all these out. I'll get a board or a platform and I'll extend these walls out a little bit. Get it done, and then I'll be tapping fiberglass to make the first mold. When it's all done, I'll show you guys what I did. Hopefully I'll be able to get it apart. Worst case scenario, I'll have to break the mold to get it open, but it's not the end of the world. I have an idea, but we will have a pinch. This is probably the greatest pinch right here. This thumb, let's see where the best way to put it, like right here, this thumb and this pinky, okay, is probably going to be our greatest undercut. So the thumb is going to be the biggest one, but here we might be able to just like kind of like shove something up, pry it, and let it pop up and over. I can't say that for certain, but that's the hope, and make it work that way. So I'm actually going to be back on streaming in a little bit. I'm going to do some game streaming. I just wanted to get this stream out of the way so we could get done with the mold and the fire pit mold and this hand mold. I figure I'll be back on within the next hour doing some forest. I think I'm going to start a new match. So if you guys want to hang out, greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll catch up with you later. But like I said, give me about an hour, maybe a little bit less, and I'll be back on. So I'll catch up with you guys then. Peace.